Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And big thank you to Rivas, Codega's Codex of Curiosity. Thank you for that intro. As always, thank you. And if you're still here and you joined Sean Kelly and stayed around a little bit longer, thank you. And if you see Sean Kelly again, tell him Don and Darren and everyone here at Don't Whistle at Night says hello. Thank you. And here's my co-host, Darren Yazzie.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What is up? What is up? New design in the background, huh?
Yeah, we are in the back tent of the Professor Screw Eyes Eccentric Circus. So, if you know, have you ever seen that movie We're Back by the dinosaurs? It's a great movie, great animated movie, and I always wanted to be there. So, hey, it's one thing that about dang, how we say it? Might as well be in the background. For now, we have two guests on, both with amazing, terrifying stories. You know, tales of terror, tales of warning, and you know, that's all. That's what the show's about. So, let's get the guest on, man. Let's do this.
Oh yeah, you forgot two returning guests.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, two family members. Oh no, it's all good. Yeah, we're like. Oh yeah. Cheers, man! Right here. Hopefully, we get sponsored by C4 or Red Bull. We'll see. Cheers, man. Bottoms up. All right. Let's get the show going. We got Mr. Hanson Smith and Benjamin Senior Smith. Here we go. What is up, my brothers?
What's up?
Yep. It's good to see you guys again. Good to see you guys again for sure.
Good to be here.
How you guys? Oh yeah. So how's everything been on you guys' side of the res so far?
Well, my side of the res, as everybody knows, it's this warm. We got snow once, a good chunk of maybe 10 inches, and that was it once. Then just recently we got 2 inches, and that's all the snow we've gotten lately. It's been real warm, but it barely gets down to freezing now, around 34, 35 up here in Saley. When around this time you're hitting, it should be hitting 0 or below 0. So climate definitely has changed this year, and I'm just I'm not kind of fearful what's going to happen in the summertime. It's going to be dry. That's one of my concerns right now.
Wildfires. It's going to be terrible fire season this year. What about you, Hanson? How's everything been with you out there?
It's been pretty good. Just staying busy at work and, just trying to get back into my running. I caught that, whatever that influenza A. Kicked my butt for like 3 weeks, and ran the other day, and I just felt like I was still trying to recover. And then just hanging out at my grandparents' winter camp, up at Nesta with relatives, and just kind of took some walks up there. And yeah, it's pretty dry up there. Usually there's some water holes that have water in it, but this year, like my brother said it's pretty dry up there. So a lot of the wildlife, hopefully they'll start coming back out, but they'll probably be trying to look for other areas for water and stuff. So, and you know, that's one of my favorite places to hang out, is just up there, and has a lot of history in it, and a lot of good stories that come from there too. So, but yeah.
Is that where you go up Norbana Pass on the south side? You go up
No,
that
this
pass?
one's just
Oh,
no, this one's just local. It's about, I'd say from here about 7 miles from here, outside of Chinle. It's probably northeast of Chinle, about 7 miles. So it's
What was the name
right
of
up there.
What was the name of that? I think they called it Teskent, something like that.
Yeah, Teskente. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a streak of white rock up there. So that's where we, I guess, originated from, our clan. So that's where Hanson's talking about. It's a special place, like he says. He goes up there more than I do. And I know we're talking about the drought a little bit here. And I'm not sure if that little spring is still running, Hanson, that you showed me that one time.
No, it's dried out right now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
I know, man.
Yeah, it's a sad thing to notice nature acting that way, you know.
Yep.
I see it too myself, you know. It's terrible, you know. It brings ominous feeling to the atmosphere. You know, it's how do you say it? You don't think about yourself, you know. You think about others, especially the wildlife out there. You know, you think more of them. You know, it's sad what's going on in the world right now, but hopefully everything will come back.
Yeah, especially me and my brother and my sons. We all hunt, so a wildfire in a big area that we hunt, that would really devastate for a year or two. But I mean, I know wildfires are good in a way. It'll the earth rejuvenates itself after a wildfire. I always, hear stories of a wildfire, and then all of a sudden after that, animals start to come back in because new plants are growing, new trees. So in a way, it's good. I mean, nature's doing its thing. But, on our part as humans, we're like, oh, man, I can't hunt there this year. Oh, or next year, It's just something that we can't control at all, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a unique way to look at life, just like what you said right there. Fires are terrible, but at the end, it brings back life. It brings back the earth. It brings back the wildlife. It's a unique way to look at it. I respect that. I always do my best to look at the positivity and negative atmosphere. So
I have a question for you guys. Do you think like Sasquatch plays a role in the environment, like helping like chawing everywhere and help growing trees, cottonwood, just stuff like that, like eating different vegetation and help like fertilizing the ground? Because I mean, I think he might be doing something like that. Like you find his chomp and has like, I found his poop before, and I broke it apart, and what I found in there was different types of fiber, and then also like pine cone, and then the pinion with, it's not even like the shells. Like he just ate the pinion without even cooking it or breaking open the shells. And then also with the rabbit meat and look like deer fur in there as well, so it had variety of different stuff inside. So I'm like thinking like maybe he does play a role in the environment, as helping growing trees and whatnot. So I'm just thinking like, do you guys think he does the same thing as well, like plays a role?
I think he does. As an example, like Hanson, remember, was it 2 years ago? Remember we went hunting up on Bataga, and we went up there and there was no signs of any animals, deer, elk, at all. And even bears, there was no signs because it was so dry. And now that you put it that way, I'm thinking that, okay, Bigfoot probably knows that there's nothing here for the animals. Not caught. Maybe he got them out of there into a different spot where there's, more vegetation, more water available. Because the following year, my sons went up there, same spot last year, but the animals came back because there was vegetation came back. So I don't know. To me, I think he is kind of a caretaker of the land, like you said. I see it that way because we're up, especially where we're at, where we go at. There's families up there. There's I would say call them single Bigfoot, and so I think they take care of the land. I think they go from mesa to mesa where we're at, and because I think that year we went with Hanson with the boys that was dry, but we went over to the next mesa. There was more vegetation. It seemed like there was more tracks or evidence over there. So in a way, yeah, you're right. I think that he's a caretaker and just like a sheep herder that's been here forever.
Yep. Well, the tribes up north, in British Columbia, they kind of see him like that. He's a, the what do they call him? The old man of the woods, taking care of things, and his blessings. They see it as a blessing when he's around, but for the Bilagana, it's just, like terror and stuff like that. But the one up on the Bigfoot that hangs out up on top of Batlaga on top of Salina, a lot of people that live down on the bottom. One lady was a teacher at my school, and I mentioned that, and she goes, "Yeah, he's up there." They call him Hastin, when people go up there or sheep herding or wood hauling, he makes himself known, but not really like you can see him to the side of your peripheral vision that he's moving around. But he's more of like a gentle giant up there, not really aggressive, and he'll make himself known, but not aggressively. And I think, yeah, like my brother said, he's kind of make sure things are okay up there, and and if things aren't okay, I think the animals probably recognize that, well, he's up here checking on things, and if it's not good, then we'll just go where he's going. And so, but yeah, I think he's a positive in the environment here on the reservation, probably across the continent, across this hemisphere, the things that his relatives do, not only the Sasquatches here, but all over. I think they play a positive role in the environment. So, yep.
Yeah, for sure. That's an interesting topic too. The first time I had the Bigfoot encounter too, back at the house, everything was green. There was fields of just sunflowers. There were herds of elk. Man, it was really beautiful. The land was really fruitful, and I come to think, that also heard the Sasquatch. He's also called the elk herder. Elk shepherd.
Yeah.
That's one name I heard him being called by. And what, come to think about it, yeah, because there were herds. I mean, there was hundreds of elk everywhere, and the night we had the Bigfoot encounter, so that yeah, I think so too, guys. Kind of comes with the land.
Yeah, and I also heard a story where they saw like a group of Sasquatches wearing elk buckskin covering them. So, I don't know if you guys heard anything or seen anything there like that, because this is coming from a Navajo person. The story that I heard, that seen them, herding the elk too. The whole deal. So, there's a lot of things that we don't know, and that's pretty cool. That's amazing. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's good to
Yeah.
feel like a kid in this field, in this world.
Right.
So today's topic, you guys want to talk about more of the Yenad Loshis, huh? This is not TikTok. We can say Skinwalkers. But yeah. So,
Yeah.
I like to whoever wants to start off the show that way. You guys can whichever one of you guys want to start. I will hand the baton off to. But go ahead.
Right. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and this, you know, I didn't know what topic we were going to talk about, but you know, just working at my school, you know, we always talk about these, you know, you hear a knock down the hallway or something like that. People share their experiences and stuff like that, and you know, people say ghosts and stuff like that, but to me, they're more like we're talking about the Yenad Loshi, you know, and the one that always comes to my mind is when it happened at the where I work at is we had a break-in into the school, and that time they dated it, and time was at night about 1 or 12:50 or almost 1 in the morning, and it was cloudy, but it was in I think around September or August somewhere. But we had a break-in, and the video showed 2 boys, maybe like 6th grade or 5th grade or even 7th grade, just, you know, young guys, not too tall, but the security and our administrator at that time, they were looking at the video and how these boys just went through the building quick, and the way they entered, or as the maintenance person came over and seen it, where they entered, they said they can't enter from here. I said, yeah, they can't. Look at their footprints are right here. And they entered, and then they went up into the ceiling, and then they went all over the whole top of the school. From one, there's an A building, C building, and B, and they went through the whole thing. And the weird thing that the maintenance director said was they can't walk through these things because these are just wires. These are just cables holding up the ceiling tile, and that's all it is. It's just there's nothing, no major structure. And they went through and did, you know, cause damage and threw stuff around. And at one point we saw them on the video. They didn't hide their face. They just walked right by the camera, and like they were like in a trance or something. They just walked through, and it was dark, and in those ceilings are pitch black, and they never used a flashlight the whole time that they walked through. They never had flashlights. They just went through, did their thing, and they went back to B wing. In the B wing side, they never exited the building. They never went out exiting the doors, but they went to B wing right by a room that is called B14, and that video shows them, just the very tail end of the video shows them crawling back up into the ceiling, and that ceiling is there was nothing for them to grab onto, and the walls are a good 9 feet up to that part of the ceiling, and it just shows the one end of their foot going up like just like that, just moving up. And they didn't break any ceiling tile. They didn't break nothing. And that ceiling tile, when we got there, the ceiling tile was still open. So security went throughout that whole building. They didn't find anything. And they just said they probably, the way they exited the way they entered, and they went back out. But there was no video of them ever leaving the building. And
this is all recorded, right?
yeah, it was all recorded, and it's through the district. And this was many years back. I'd say probably about 7 years back. Yeah. So, you know, it was just weird. It was just weird. And, you know, they caused damage, but the way they went in and out was like nothing that they crawled on or touched. You know, they just went in there, and they were saying, are these students? I said, no, I think they were had to do with something like skinwalkers, the way they moved around about, you know. How can you walk around in pitch dark? You know, they didn't have phones. They didn't through the whole videos. They didn't have phones, or they just went through, you know, they just went through, went back out, and then they were gone. And
So-
to this day, we don't know who they were, you know.
Wow.
So these two kids, they don't look like they had a sense of direction, you know, like just, well, let's go over here. They just kind of floated around, you know, drifted.
Yeah.
Huh.
Spirit walkers.
Yeah, they weren't like pointing like, let's go this way. They just were the camera. They just were walking together, literally walking together. They just walked down a hallway. They weren't pointing or nothing. They just walked past that. The eerie things, they just walked past the camera, you know, down the hallway. And they weren't in a hurry. They weren't nervous or nothing. They just like, you know, let's go this way. And they weren't pointing like running around. They were just walking peacefully through the building. And as they did their destruction of spraying the fire extinguishers and throwing glitter all over in one of the rooms, you know, that's about the only vandalism on the dry erase boards. They used dry erase stuff, and they just drew stuff. I can't remember what they drew stuff, and then we erased it. I should have took a picture of that, but it was like drawings and symbols, and like I would just say like what was drawn on there, I can't remember, like teardrops and stuff like that. And it was just, I don't know, it was just weird. And you know, we just the security, the administrator, they just pretty much said, you know, it's just kids vandalizing. We need to find out who they are. To this day, we never found out. Had their faces, everything, but we just don't know who they were. So,
wow, what an amazing video! I would sure like to see that. You know what?
I know, right? Yeah, I just don't think they would ever give it up. So, but yeah, that was a thing that happened there, and you know, they didn't move like regular human beings. They moved like swift and light, and they were gone. You know, they were just two boys. You know, they had hoodies, but they didn't hide their face. They didn't even wear their hoodies. They just walked through, and that was it. Yeah.
How long was this video? How long were these boys inside the school?
I think in the school they were in there for about they said 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh,
because they went through each wing. They went through each wing, you know, destroying stuff, throwing paper all over, drawing on stuff, and then each wing had the fire extinguisher was blown all over. So that's the main one that was the main destructions. They didn't even throw the extinguisher like against the wall or through windows. They just put it down where they were done. They just literally just maybe dropped it right where they were done. They didn't even throw it at anything. They were just in there, you know, they were just in there doing that. So, but yeah.
So the school doesn't have like an alarm system, you know, that notify the police department or anything like that?
No, that's the thing. We don't have that type of a system. Our system's more of if there's a fire or a flood, it'll indicate those, and then that's when the alarm system will go off. But no alarm system to where if somebody's moving around the new system that we have now, it'll light up the hallways. If you get close to one of those detectors, it'll light up that hallway at night. And so even in the classrooms, if you move around, if you open up a classroom at night, it'll be really bright. It'll show that somebody's in there. And, you know, that's another thing that's eerie about my school is I had that experience about last week before I was going on a day off. I was cleaning my area because I was busy with basketball, and I said, well, I'll go back at night. I told my kids I don't want to leave the school dirty for my workers, so I'm going to go in tonight and get it all clean. That way I don't have to worry about it while I'm off. And so I went in there cleaning all the rooms, and I was at the second to last room. It was in the 4th grade wing, and I was dusting off a shelf, and like I said, those lights are sensor. They have sensors on it too. If you walk under it, it brightens up, and then it brightens up. And if you're in another area, it kind of just gives you enough light where you're needed, where it's needed or something. But I was alone there. It was 9 o'clock in the evening. It was dark, and I didn't have any music running. I just had my phone on the table, and I was wiping things down. And in the hallway right next to that classroom, I heard something walking, just like regular shoes, either a lady size or a kid size. And I heard 5 footsteps, and I stopped sanitizing. I turned around towards the door, and the door was like 20 feet from me. So I looked towards the door, and I thought somebody was walking down, maybe security. So I was like waiting for them. And then it stopped. And then the weird thing is it stopped at the door, and then those light sensors from one side, it lit up. And as it was coming closer, that one dimmed out, the next one lit up. And it lit up right 4 feet in front of me, right on top of one of the tables. And I was like, you know, what just walked in? You know, I just like had that goosebumps, and I was just like, okay, I'm done here. And I just hurried and wiped stuff, and, you know, tried to ignore it, but I'm like, those lights don't just light up like that. So I just walked out of the class, and I clicked the light off. You can punch it twice and it turns off. Then I closed the door, and from there was 2 classrooms I needed to clean, but they were pretty much clean. And I just said, no, I'm done. I just put everything away, and then I walked out. And that one kind of freaked me out, just hearing the little footsteps and then the lights lighting up towards me in the classroom. And that was the recent one that's happened in that school.
Did you ever go back and look at the security cameras during that event, or?
No, the weird thing is they were working last year, and then this year our security said it's showing it when he gets on his screen, it shows that it's working, but it's not recording anymore. And so they had a company come in, I think about 3 weeks ago. They said, yeah, your machine is fine. Don't know what's happening to all your cameras. They're not working. So they're going to replace all the equipment pretty soon. I think during the summer, this coming after school's over, they're going to replace so right now they're just working, but they're not recording. So nothing's recording right now. So, but yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of events happen during that time. You know, that's usually how it is, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But maybe you get a little personal camera for yourself, you know. You go through there, have one on you, one on your back.
Yourself cleaning, put it in the corner, and then just do your deal, you know. Yeah. Pretty sure you'll catch some spooky. Oh, man. Yeah. Spooky schools. High school in Utah was haunted for sure. Whoever had to sleep there at night always usually come out to school crying.
Oh,
And
dang.
yeah, then some would run around the hallways, hitting, like punching, kicking the lockers, all the way down. And yeah, same thing with the gym, the boys' bathroom. Something would open and close it, slam shut, boom, 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 and you would see apparitions too floating around,
Oh, man.
especially in the weight room. Then the elementary school too. There used to be a lot of break-ins, fire extinguishers, glitter too, and also water balloons. Yeah, all over the place.
What
So the
the?
kids break in and make a
Oh,
mess,
geez.
and they would always see. I also seen this one too. Spirit of a lower body walking around, not the upper torso, just the naked
Oh,
lower
dang.
body walking around the
Oh, geez.
hallways. I seen that, and it also chased my uncle. But I used to, my aunt, she was she was married to a family where the guy's mom was a teacher and the dad was a janitor too, custodian for
Yeah.
the old Mexican Hat Elementary School. It's down now. It's no longer there. So two of my uncles, three of them actually, they're in their teenagers, so they have all bunch of crazy things happen to them. But this is their first time going to the school. They didn't believe it was haunted because they went to school elsewhere. So they're like, all right, this little Mexican hat school is not haunted. It's a little tiny school. They're talking smack because they're from Keene. So, and they went inside and like, hey, we'll go that way. We'll walk around this way. We'll explore. So those three walked around. They're like, messing around with each other, playing tag, running around. And I guess they heard footsteps around them. And I believe that the story goes, one of my uncles, he turned down the hallway and he seen that same thing, the lower body walking towards him. And he started crying and he told the other two, let's go. They started running. When they're running back to the teacher and the custodian, the in-laws, something started running after them down another hallway. And the way it made it sound was it was carrying a lot of keys with them, like someone
Oh,
had
dang.
after them with a lot of keys. So they thought it was another custodian running after them down the hallway. And they finally got to the teacher, and the in-laws, they're crying. They're just completely crying, and they said, there's a lower body naked running after us, and there's someone heavy, really heavy, running
Yeah.
after us with the keys. A lot of keys.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, so it's kind of so we got that spooky thing. So hats off to you working at a school late at night.
Yeah.
Definitely take a camera and record yourself. Woo,
I know I
man.
need to do that. I do need to do that. Sometimes it does get really creepy. I remember during the pandemic, I didn't like going to the laundromat because of all the COVID going around. So I got permission to wash clothes at my workplace. So I would wash clothes and then I would go back in the evening. And some of those evenings, I had to tell my son-in-law, I said, hey, come with me. So I don't want to go in there alone. Just that feeling, that uneasiness. You knew something was there, and just wasn't. It's still like that. But I don't wash clothes over there anymore. So yeah.
So,
Um,
tell us what's the local lore of the school? Does everybody know the school is haunted, or what does the community think
Strange.
about this?
pretty much all the schools right in that area that what the medicine man said is in that whole Chinle wash. I mean, that whole thing was a wash before there was ever a community, and that's where all the Anasazis pretty much had communities right there. They lived in that whole area, and when they do the archaeological clearance, there's spots all over on that, into the wash, on top, the school, just so each one of the schools in this district in Chinle area have their own hauntings, their own experiences. The securities have their own experiences. There's a spot right behind in the NHA housing along, they call it Riverside. There's a fenced off area that has that's an Anasazi burial ground, and it's fenced off. Nobody goes in there, and that specifically just fenced off right there because of all the archaeological stuff right there. And so a lot of it's that, you know, it's the entity that runs around in our school. Everyone knows, even the other school employees know. They call it Toby. The first time we seen it was, we used to play basketball during spring Christmas break. I got permission to have my family because we'd get bored, so we would go play basketball and volleyball during the break. And one of my nephews, he was dribbling down the court and lost the ball towards the double doors, and he grabbed it and he just looked at all of us, and then he pointed. And we said, "What?" He goes, "There's a little boy right here. He's looking through the window." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Right here." And I remember, you know, Ben was there. We all ran that way. And there's a gate. There's a gate. If you close that gate, it makes a loud, loud noise, you know, just boom. But everywhere else was locked. This little boy was gone. He was gone. And we all looked around, and he was gone. And I think it was one of my other coworkers' son. He goes, his name's Toby. So that's what we started calling him Toby. So everybody in our school pretty much knows him as Toby, except for our new administrator who just became our principal this year. He I don't know if he doesn't believe in it or what, but he hasn't had any experiences, but our old principal has. And she was always like, this happened. And our other administrators before, one of them was a male administrator, about 5 years back or 7 years back. He was at work at night doing some paperwork, and he said a little boy ran up to him into his office, and then he didn't think anything of it. He thought somebody else was there. "Hey, little boy, what are you doing?" And that boy ran off, and he's like, and he got up and he walked out into the front office. There was nobody was there, and that's what he experienced. He saw a little boy run into his office and look at him, and then ran back out. So, you know, we're seeing those types of things, and we even on the old camera, just seeing the apparition that I thought was another little boy in the boys' restroom messing around. And that's when I said, "Hey, don't do that." And he ran into a corner. And when I went to that corner, there was nothing. But we caught that one on video of a black spot that was standing there on the video, and it went into that corner that I said it went into. And that one was recorded on video. And I don't know if they still have that one.
So Hanson, so in real time you saw a little boy, but the camera saw a black figure?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Was the boy like a Native American looking boy, or
Yeah.
like a Malagala?
He was like one of the kids. I thought it was one of the naughty boys. You know, he was just standing there. He's probably about 4 feet tall, and he was just standing next to the urinals. And they usually mess around in there. And I was going in there to change the trash, and I was literally by him, like maybe 8 feet, 9 feet in front of me. And that's when my side view of my eye, as I was looking at the trash, he was standing right there. And I just said, "Hey, don't mess around in here." And that's when he took off. And he's just around the corner, literally around by the door. There's a little wall, a 5 foot wall. And he went behind there. And then when I turned to look, there was nothing. And that's when I just grabbed the trash, and I recorded the time. I can't remember. I gave the security the time and when it happened. We looked at it, and sure enough, that little dark spot just went straight into that corner, and we all freaked out on that. So yeah,
Oh man, that'd be nice footage to have. But man, you got to track that down. That's something to
So,
see. Get
I
some
know, right?
goosebumps over off of that. Woo!
Yep.
Um,
tell me
um,
something.
go ahead
All
there.
these apparitions, are they modernly dressed? They just wearing Converse, like just modern day attire. They don't look more of a, how would you say it, an ancient look. They're not wearing leather. Leather work.
No, I think they're just more regular clothes. They're just more modern looking. The apparition that was in the restroom, like I said, it was like on my peripheral vision right here. There was something. It was a boy, but not really detailed what he was wearing. I could just tell it was a boy standing right there. And then the way he just took off with this, like a footstep first and went to the corner. Couldn't really tell what his clothes were and stuff like that. But I just knew it was a little boy in the restroom that took off. So
Yeah. The reason why I asked that question is, you talk about Anasazi ruins. I'm just trying to put some, I guess, throw a bolt in the gear. The gear works. So, that is really, it's really odd. It's really odd that these spirits do stuff like this. I know back at the house too. It's it's a not uncommon thing for the cops to be called to the school district too, and talk about skinwalkers running around. It's weird. It's strange. It's there's no words for it right now.
Yeah.
For whatever reason,
Yeah.
these Native American schools seem to be kind of more haunted or just poorly placed. For whatever reason, they decided to build a public school on Anasazi ruins. So.
Yeah, that's what they said about the that new clinic in Blanding too, or not Blanding, Kienta. There's a little girl that roams around the whole hospital. The security knows her. They said she's an Anasazi girl because it was an Anasazi burial ground. Yep. And then Miami Valley, Utah, is that football field. They say it was built over an old graveyard. So they just took out the grave and moved the bodies. Yeah, so it's
I don't know if that's going to take care of it, huh?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
every year they have to have a medicine man come in and bless every inch of the school grounds, especially the field. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a nice field.
Yeah,
though.
they did
Nice
see it. Same thing with the NHA housings too. Back of the house is, they knew where they were going to build this place, but they just built it anyways. They knew the area, they knew the history of the land. Same thing. They built it on a burial ground, and now it seems like the whole area of the housing is just haunted. It's witchy. It's witched. I know the time I was living there, you would hear the faucet turn on by itself. You would hear the cupboards open up. You would hear slap like bare footprint. Like a little kid's. How they would run on granite flooring. You just hear the flapping, but you can hear. Yeah, dude. You would hear stuff like that, and also a spirit of a really tall, long-haired being. Would be seen in the housings, individual housings too. And so the first time it was brought to my attention, one of my relatives was talking about it, and then I put it off to the side, but then later on another person about maybe 2 or 3 blocks away said they seen the same thing too inside their house. So
face.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty spooky. Looks like we're gonna shift the gears to Yanad Loshi. So Benjamin, what kind of stories do you have about your Yanad Loshi stuff?
Yanad Loshi is the earliest I can remember, and I can't remember if Hanson was there with me At Spider Rock. Where my dad was running the meeting because my dad was a roadman for the NAC church, and we would go with my dad sometimes. And I remember, I know it was in Spider Rock. It's more towards Spider Rock. There's a dirt road that goes back. I can't remember exactly whose house it was at. But after midnight, you can go out. Go out, stretch your legs, go get something to drink or eat or something. So I'm not sure if Hanson was there. Were you there, Hanson? We've seen
And
or
there was
maybe
a lot
that
of
was
time.
Brian.
That might be Brian, yeah.
Yeah, because after midnight, they said, okay, you guys can go out if you want. So me and my brother Brian said, okay, we're going to go out. And it was I can't remember who the other kid was. It was three of us that went out. I went out to use the restroom, go to the house, get a snack to eat. And as you're waiting outside, you wait for the singers to sing their 4 songs. They can come back in. Sometimes you can go as long as 2 people singing and come back in. But we were kind of just waiting in front of the teepee, just standing around, and then all of a sudden we could hear something because there was a restroom just not far from where the teepee set up at, and an outhouse. And we're standing there, and all of a sudden we could see something peeking his head out from the side of the outhouse. Like, what is that? We're kind of looking at it and kind of looking, bumping each other. What's that, man? There's something over there. And then we've been out so long that my uncle, I won't say his first name, but his name is Baya. He was taking care of fire that night, and he kind of takes care of everybody who goes in and goes out, and make sure that he goes back out to get them when they staying out too long. So he came out after us. He goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You guys need to get back inside." I go, "Well, I know, but there's something over there." He goes, "Where?" And then Navajo, I don't know. Right there by the restroom, you can see it. And then he looked over there. He goes, "I think, what is that?" I go, we don't know. He just keeps looking at us. And as we started to walk over there, briskly, we're just following him. He's older. He's probably not scared. So we started walking. All of a sudden, it took off, and it was a Yanny. It had skin, and it took off. And we just ran after it. We just followed my uncle, and he had his flashlight. And I don't know. To this day, I still don't know if it's true or what I seen. Or it was running. You could see the footprints running. We knew it was a Yanny, but at some point, we lost the footprints. And it turned to animal tracks, like a wolf or a coyote tracks. We're all like, where did it go? Where's the tracks? And my uncle's witness to that. He saw it. He's like, in his thing, he probably changed. When I'm like, what do you mean changed? That's the first time. I was young. I was maybe about 9 or 10 years old. And that's the first time I seen something like that where question like, what? Someone turned into an animal, in my head. And I'm like, that's the first time I experienced something like that. And that's still like, how can something turn from a person or a Yanny into an animal? Because the footprints disappeared and went to dog tracks. They're kind of big, so I don't know if it would be a coyote or a wolf. I never heard of wolves up in that area or, on the res, but it was a big, big dog because it had, big paw prints. So that's the first time I ever experienced something like that. And that's kind of, to this day, I still, are there shapeshifters? Are they real? But when I seen when I was that young, something did change. Because what I saw took off was a person on 2 feet. And after we lost tracks, after we lost the visual in, boom, it turned to animal tracks. And I didn't talk to my dad about it. It was just between me, my brothers. If I went to my uncle now he may remember it still, but he saw it because we helped him chase it. And that was kind of the first time I ever experienced it, and it was weird, and it'll always be weird, stuff like that. And then for some reason, from then forth, throughout life, I've experienced many, many experiences. Like when I go, my occupation, I got to get up real early, super early. and I drive a lot of places to work. And one year, well, this happened twice. One year, I was working in Kayenta at the hospital. You're talking about Kayenta Hospital. I was doing that job. I was doing the heating and cooling system for that big hospital, and I was also taking care of the jail at the same time. We're doing the jail and the hospital, and but we leave real early. We come through. If you're coming from Chimbito, you're gonna come to the intersection where you'll see a big church rock right before Kayenta, and because I would say it's about 4 to 5 miles before that intersection that goes to Kayenta. And me and my son Dustin, we were cruising, just cruising along early in the morning, drinking my coffee. It was cold, wintertime, so I know it was cold. And all of a sudden, as I get closer, like, what is that? You just see a figure on the side, not right on the side of the road, but maybe 10 feet off. And I slow down, and I just basically told my son, "What the fuck is that?" And my son got up. Well, what is that right there? I slowed down. This was a man, a Yanni, standing there. He had a coyote skin on all the way down. He was painted up like crazy. His face, his body. He actually had a leather, what we call breechcloth, in front of him. He wasn't wearing no modern clothes. It's all the coyote skin or whatever it was, and the breechcloth. But he had 2 bundles, leather bundles, under his arm. And where he was coming from was just to the west side of the road. I would say maybe, 500 yards. There's some houses there, some mobile homes, a hogan, and he was coming from there. So, I mean, we went by, all this is going through my mind as we passed him, like, holy, and he was like in a trance. He didn't even look at the truck. He didn't look it was just, his eyes were trained east. He was just looking there. Like his eyes were just all big, just standing there holding those bundles. I'm like, dang, I wonder if he came from those homes. I wonder if he did something. Somebody sent him over there, and what's in those bundles? Because you hear stories of things in bundles like hair, pieces of clothing, or personal belongings that belong to people that you're trying to do witchcraft on against. So that's what was running through my head. And then, but then as I passed him, he crossed the road and took off east. And I thought to myself, where the hell is he going? There's no homes there. There's no houses there as far as you can see. So where he was going, I don't know. But that's the one experience I had early in the morning, where what was this guy? What was his intentions, or what he did? What did he just do, coming from those homes? My thing myself, I was like, dang, should I turn around? Should I go to those homes? Should I go tell them this is what I saw coming from the direction of your homes? But I never did. So I don't know what the intention of that Yanni was, or what he did, or it was probably only evil, because that's that's kind of what they're associated with, just evil. If there were anything of any good, we would use them more, but they're not. But that was one experience I had, and that was crazy. And I still think about it. I can still see it every day. I'll think about it, like, oh man, I can see it in my head.
That whole sorry, 1 second, let me interrupt you. That whole area, you seen that Yana Loshi, that Skinwalker, I got people telling me stories, the same sightings that you have. I got the chills. I have a bunch of stories. Okay, so Way was looking east, so that's Denhotso, huh? Out that way east.
We're Denhotso,
so I have info that the whole entire community of Denhotso is practicing, including the chapter house. But I don't know if now could be different people in the chapter. And I also heard multiple chapter houses on the Navajo Nation are Yana Loshis.
I've heard stories of that. Yeah, those canyons near Denhotso. I've heard people trying to drive through them, and they'll have Yannis chasing them down. But yeah, I've heard stories like that. Yeah.
Yep,
That's crazy.
all them washes, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
everywhere. It crisscrosses. So all of them. So the Cone Ridge, that's where they do initiation. North of Denhotso. So there's these pictographs where it teaches you how to become and what to do and steps to become a
What the
Yana
heck?
Loshi. Yeah, so that's where they take people to make them become. And also there's octagons, stories of the octagons in Denhotsu, where a bunch of people that are in the chapter, they all gather in an octagon at night with the full moon. They stand in the middle of the pentagram, and they initiate teenagers inside in the middle, and they're all in paint. They're all naked. And yeah, so I got stories like that. So it gets
Yeah.
really, really sinister. So
I wouldn't doubt it
yeah,
one
so
bit.
yeah, it's just gonna keep going on, but yeah, I just thought I'd let you know just a little bit of the creepiness of the area and the receipts, the receipt trail. And I wish
Yeah.
after the show, if you can point me out where, then we can look where east, where he was looking at. Maybe there's a ridge, there's a cave, maybe there's a gathering somewhere around there. You know, we can go say hi. Maybe that's if the team
Yeah.
is willing. I am, but yeah, go ahead, Benjamin. Sorry.
Yeah, there's another time my wife and I, this was probably about 20 years ago. I can still remember it to this day exactly what happened. We were going to Gallup, and as you leave Burnside and you start going, and you kind of get up to the high point, and he's trying to just start dropping into Ganado. If you guys have been that way, you start dropping into Ganado just at the highest point, and it drops. I was cruising right there. The light was just barely coming out. The light was, and I was cruising along. And I'm like, what is that? You know, I didn't tell my wife right away. I knew, and I seen something coming up the hill. I'm like, So I kind of slowed down, and I was getting a little bit closer, and it was light enough. I did, my headlights wouldn't help because I could see it. I'm like, what the hell? You know, my wife goes, what? Look, right there. I go, what's that? And she looked at it, she got up, she's freaking out. That says, see that? It goes, and I started to slow down. And I can still remember her, what are you doing? Slow it down. Don't slow down. So I kept going past it. But I paid attention to it. Same thing. This thing had a coyote-like skin all over. He was painted like crazy, too. And he wasn't carrying a pouch or anything. He was just going. But as you come down that hill, just to the south of it, there's a house, maybe a hogan and a house. And that area, because we all know things, these Yannies, so they do a lot of things early in the morning. That's what they call the witching hour, where, these evil beings or evil whatever entities roam. And that's the time they do their stuff. So both of these experiences happened early in the morning, right before the sun came up. So I seen this like, holy cow. And as I passed it, I slowed down, and it ran across the road going north. And then again, where he was going, like, there's no houses there. Nobody lives right there. As far as you can see to the edge of to the mesa there, there's nobody lives there. So where he's going, I don't know. So like, was he trying to tempt something over there? He couldn't get nothing, because unlike the other one where he had 2 bundles, he didn't have anything in his hands. And it was the same thing. He was all painted black, because his gaze was like, it wasn't fixed on us. He just wanted to make sure we passed so he could take off across the road. And then during that time, there was no other vehicles too, just us going. And then early morning was just me and my son going. So I've ran into that twice in my life of actual, dressed, painted, the whole works. And it's it gets it creeps you out. It raises the hairs on your back. Like, whoa, okay, they after that second one I saw, it's like, whoa, okay, these are real. I mean, I've seen them in the past, like when we used to ride horses. You see them or going out on the back roads, or being young, stupid kids, go driving around, and you see stuff like that. And it's just fortunate that I get to go to work early in the morning, and I see stuff like that. And and I know I've seen the same thing. This one, I'm not sure if she was a Yanny, but I was going to work to Flagstaff, and I passed through cornfield, I would say about 4:30 in the morning. And I was cruising that way once, and as I was cruising, there's like a double hump, and it drops down. Then the turn off the cornfield is just right there. You guys probably know where that area is at. As before you turn into cornfield, coming from Burnside. As you get in that ride, you come off of that. I'm cruising right there. All of a sudden, what is that? I'm cruising along. I slowed down. It was weird. It was a lady, but she was skinny and tall. She had short hair, cut to here, and I remember it was cold too. I remember that it was cold, but she had short cuts, almost like Daisy Dukes, but real short, and her top was just how they it was black striped, but it was just the real short sleeve and just barely goes past the belly button. So she was wearing barely next to nothing, and it was super cold. I'm like, where the hell is she going? But she was in a trance. She didn't even look my way. And she was just her focus was looking towards. There's some housings right there. There's one actually right alongside the road, and behind there further towards the mesa, there's a series of homes all inside of there's probably like a family plot. There's probably looks like an acre. There's a bunch of homes in there, and that's where she was looking. And I just thought that to be weird, because being that early in the morning, no clothes, barely, and cold. She didn't look like she was cold, but she was also in a trance of some sort where my passing by didn't affect her at all. Dang. And that was kind of weird, man. So it's stuff you see early in the morning is wild.
You said that this was the other encounter, the Skinwalker was painted black. Black paint.
Not only black, but white prints, like they're drawings on his body.
Symbols.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, symbols. Yeah.
Wow. One thing that I always noticed is these entities, these beings, they're always painted. They're painted white. Some are painted red. Yellow. I'm beginning to think there might be some type of correlation with the medicine wheel when it comes down to these skinwalkers and the color of paint that they adore themselves with. It's really odd, but that's one thing that will decipher everything else. Tell me, did you ever feel sick afterwards? Did your vehicles act weird, electronics, after seeing these entities?
That's what I've always thought of, but the thing is, it didn't cross my path. I went before it crossed my path, so it never affected me in any way. Had I come across it, all of a sudden I seen it walk across the street, I would most likely treat it like a coyote. Stop, said a prayer first before I, enter that zone. That's what we, normally do with coyotes, because we don't know if they're coming from good or bad, to whatever they're coming from. If they had a good or bad intentions, you still got to stop and offer your prayers or tadateen, and go for it. And I'm pretty sure I would have done something like that, but both times it didn't cross my path. It was off to the side and crossed until after I passed them.
Yeah,
maybe it's oh, go ahead there. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the reason why I asked that question is, trying to put the dots together. But one thing I notice is the body gets really sick, whether it's from the unknown fear, the body, spirit just gets shaken to the point where you feel sick. You get sick after seeing skinwalkers or the witchy stuff that happens. Even the Bigfoot, it's people get sick. I'm not sure if it's a spiritual sickness or something that has to do with this, but even with electronics, it's not an uncommon thing for the vehicle to break down, or for electronics to falter. Same thing with strangely enough, UFOs. People that come across UFOs in their vehicles, they're the power goes off, the vehicle dies. So It's really odd. It's really odd, but all we can do is just run some dots together and make sense out of this. So
Yeah. Ben, do you ever think of maybe, all those Yanagoshis, your job was to hit them? Because I've heard tons of stories where they say, leave them alone. Leave them alone because they have their end date. They said whatever gives them the power is planning how to get rid of them, how to kill them. So whatever is giving them power is also planning how to end them. And they also said that leave them alone unless it's you're the one that's going to have to take them out, unless you are the one, but let them go, because if you let them go, that trans that takes over their body, that gets them to from point A to point B, they can't fight it. They can't do anything about it. Their body will transform into a ball, and that ball will bounce boom, boom, or to an owl, or to a fox, or to a coyote. They can't stop it. Their eyes turn white. And I've heard stories of where they walk straight into traffic and just get hit.
Wow.
And just gone. And also like a preacher one time too. He left his window cracked open. He was somewhere on the res. He was sleeping beside the road, and this Loshi crawled in on him, and it was laying on top of him, was breathing on his
Oh,
face.
dang.
And he grabbed him. He hurry up and grabbed him like this, and he was trying to get out of there. And he's like, "No, I'm holding on to you." He's like, "Hey, just stop, just let's listen to me." And then he stopped struggling. He said, "The Loshi stopped struggling." He said his hair is all over his face too, and he found his ear. And he told him, "As soon as I let you go, when you crawl out this window," he said this window was cracked just a little bit. He doesn't know how he crawled in on him. He said that if you go out the window to the left, you'll be safe. You'll go home. But if you take a right, you're gonna get hit by a semi and you're gonna die. And he said he let him go. He said, boom, he went out that little window like that. And he said he said the reason why he knew he took a turn to the right is because he heard a semi coming and the horns, and then smash. Said it was a horrible crash. He said that guy was gone. So there's that stories that correlate all the time, and people tell me fresh stories where they can't stop the trends and they end up from point A to point B. Even this one lady said that she dropped off one of her nieces or one of her family members at Richfield, the high school in Utah. So a lot of Navajos in Utah, they go to Richfield dormitory. So they drop this little girl off over there, and then when they get back to Kaibito area, Arizona, they would see their niece there. They're like, "What in the world? How'd you get here? We just dropped you off way over there in Richfield." And they're like, I don't know how I got here." And then they find out that on her dad's side, they're all Loshis. And they find out that she goes into trance every now and then. And sometimes she turns into a ball and bounces around. And her dad, same thing too. He can't control it. He starts shape-shifting on them at night. He runs back and forth up and down the dirt road. And he can't stop it. And so everyone would take off from him at night. They would leave him alone. And he would ask them, "Why are you guys leaving me? I can't stop this." So family curses. So it sticks in the family, stays in the family. So there's many things that we have yet to understand about this Loshi, things you do. And once you do something like that, it stays in your family. That's for sure. But yeah, Benjamin, Darren, do you have any questions for Ben?
No, no. But yeah, these footprints that turn into dog prints. This is something I personally seen. And
wow.
I 100% believe you. I 100% believe you. And later on, about maybe 20, 30 minutes later, we flipped a Blazer, a truck, a vehicle, and all of us were spread out all over the dirt road. And this vehicle spun maybe 4 or 5 times, and threw all the kids out, myself out of that vehicle. And that's just a tell, it's a warning. That's all I can put to it, and that's one of the reasons why I asked you if anything went, how everything, what happened afterwards. You would say, with the whole sickness or the vehicles or stuff like that. That's the one thing that I want to know myself. So yeah.
But with you bringing that up, you just now kind of sparked something. I never thought of it that way. Before that, I was just in one accident, but after that, throughout my life, I've been in 9 vehicle accidents.
Ace.
9. And after that could be not, it could be a coincidence, but now that you put it that way, it could be something that it's just like when we pray, or we may not get an answer right away. It may be years on down the road we get our answer, or a month. When I'm across the paths of these things, it may have taken a while for something to happen. And the weird thing is, half of my accidents have been in near Burnside, cornfield, and the places where I've seen these things that going to work in Pinon, or these places I've seen them. We're actually now that you bring that up, I'm like, whoa, okay. My mind's just racing. Like, yeah, I've seen them in Pinon. I got an accident in Pinon. I've seen them in cornfields. I was in an accident almost right there, right where I seen that lady. I would say a quarter of a mile from that spot where I got an accident. And other places where I've been in that bad accident, that's wild. I never thought of it like that, man.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's a lot of accidents.
Yeah,
I also remember Ben. Excuse me. You told a story a long time ago. When you used to work for Thriftway Distribution, the old Thriftway stores before they changed them to Speedies. I remember the time you said your old boss Bob had you deliver some stuff from Chinle to I think Kayenta, and you said as you were driving that way in the company van or whatever, the delivery van, you said something was running besides the road. I don't know, close to Kayenta.
Oh, yes,
on the right side.
Yes.
Yeah.
What it was,
and it was tall. It was tall and white, and it was running the speed of the vehicle. And that was over 30, almost 40 years ago, because I remember I was only like 12 years old or 11 when you told that
Thanks
story.
for reminding me of one of my nightmares. Yeah. Yeah, I was working for a company called Thriftway, but this other guy offered me a job on the side to go pick up some material. He goes, I'll provide the ride, the gas, everything. It was a white guy, and they're doing some construction there in Chinle. And he goes, yeah, I'll pay you when you're done. I'll pay you in cash. This is what I'll pay you by the hour. As you leave tomorrow morning, you got to stop here, drop off a delivery here, pick up another delivery in Flag, and kind of go all the way, make a big circle on the res. So I did that, went and did my thing, went to Ganado, then I stopped off and I think it was Dilcon. Then from there I went to Flagstaff, picked up a bunch more material, and I went back and I was stopped at I think it's called the Gap towards Tuba or past Tuba. I can't remember, but somewhere there I dropped some stuff off, and it was by the time I got to Tuba, it was dark. It was late, and I said, I can make it home. I'll just make it home, because my wife was home at the time. She was pregnant, and I didn't want to leave her all night by herself. So this was late. This was I remember coming through Tuba. I gassed up, then I took off towards Red Lake, and I was cruising that way, and there was nobody else on the road. It was early morning, like 2:00 in the morning, and there we go again. Stuff move around so early in the morning, and I'm cruising, I'm by myself, and I could see at a peripheral to my right, which is from the south. And I'm sitting there cruising. I'm like, then I look that way. I'm like, what the fuck is that? To this day, I still don't know what the hell it is. It was running. Whatever it was running white. It was tall, and its strides were so long. I was just looking at them. And the fence, the right-of-way fence, are usually like about 30 feet off each side of the highway. All I remember is I'm watching this thing jumped that fence, boom, landed on the road, and one step all the way across the road, and that thing kept running. I slammed on my brakes. I stopped, man. That thing, whatever it was so fast. It was agile. It just scared the hell out of me. And I was going to turn around and back to Tuba, and I kind of turned around. As I was going to turn, I seen the vehicle coming. Like, oh shoot, good. So I kind of got back on the road, and I kind of went slow until that vehicle caught up with me. But I stayed enough in front of that vehicle so I wouldn't be alone on the road. So yeah, that scared the hell out of me. I don't, to this day, I don't know what it is. I never seen nothing like that. But it was white. It was actually running on the ground, giant steps, and it just took one leap from the fence, boom, onto the road, jumped back across it, and kept going. To this day, I still don't know. It had to be a ghost, or maybe some alien. I don't know what it was. To this day, I don't know.
Did it have fur? Did it have any fur or
No, it was just white. It was just white.
What
But I know it had legs.
was it? Painted white or was it skin?
It was all skin white. It was just like
Pale skin.
well, I would say like not super white, but enough you could see it. And with your, moving forward, you could see it. I don't know if I can't remember if it was a full moon that night, but I could see it. So it must have been full moon or something, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have seen it. Even though if something's white, you still really can't see it in the dark. So something must have been shining on it, or maybe it was glowing. Who knows? Because I can't remember if the moon was out, but I could see it. I'm like, what the hell is that? And what freaked me out is it jumped. As the jump was what did it for me. That thing cleared the fence, just one jump, and it was all there on the other side. And I had to stop. Because in my mind, whatever this is, it could turn around. I don't know what it was. So at that young age, I was like in my early 20s, maybe 22. And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah.
This was so that road that you saw this thing on, that road is going towards Kayenta, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. That
Yeah.
whole road has a long list of strange things that follows them beside the road. But this is the first time I've heard a white one. So here's a little bit of the stories. Okay. So right before Rare Meadows, when you get outside of Kayenta, my wife's aunt, she was going towards Navajo Mountain, and she saw a gigantic glowing white wolf run across the road. And she said this thing looked out of an animated character, like it was glowing, it was white. Said it ran across the road and watched her cross. And there's Bigfoot too that runs after people beside the road there. So that's why I was asking you if it's fur or not. And also another story, back when you're cruising on the same road, that before you get that road, the turnoff that goes to Black Mesa. Remember that old chute, the water chute that came across the road on top?
Yeah.
So there used to be a Skinwalker. It used to be on top of there. He used to like to jump on vehicles from the top. Boom. He used to like to hitchhike all the way to Tiki. And so I was like, Hanson might have a story on that one. And so you might have seen it. Go ahead, Hanson.
My late wife, her older sister is married to a gentleman from Ninahanzad. We know him, Misa's husband, ex-husband. But he was working for that shiprock company where they deliver arts and craft to Navajo Arts and Craft. But he had his own story also, from Kayenta back to shiprock. He delivered some stuff to Navajo Arts and Craft in the white van that he was driving, and it was like same thing. It got dark, And the story that he was telling, he said he got to Navajo Arts and Craft in Kayenta, dumped off everything, had a big load, and then after that it was dark. By that time he put in gas, got something to eat, and then he started driving back. And I don't know where between Shiprock and Kayenta, right in there, what you're talking about. He just heard a big thump on top of the van. And then as he was driving, he said something looked at him upside down as he was driving. It was looking at him.
Oh, man.
And he just said he freaked out really bad. And he said he's honking the horn and he tried to hit his brake, but that thing kept hitting the top of his hood. And then it hit the side of the window. And then all of a sudden he said he heard it run behind where the door was, the back door to that van. And he said it was knocking on the back of the door. And he just said the whole time he just tried to keep his composure as he drove back. And he called his wife and told him to meet at the gas station in Shiprock. And he just kept driving, and he said somewhere between Shiprock and Apatol, right in that area, it jumped on the hood and then it jumped off to the side, to the right. And he said it was all white also. It jumped off with ease and then it jumped clear to the side of the right. And when he got to his wife and kids, they said when he got out, he stumbled. He was stumbling and mumbling, and he fell over and he threw up. And he just said he couldn't get his composure back. He was just lost. And finally, they had to give him some water, and they were trying to and that's when he just said that there was something on top of the ride the whole time. Yeah, so that's one story. Just hearing about something hitching a ride in between Kayenta and that area right there is his name is Harrison. And he stopped working for that company once that happened. He said no more. So, but yeah.
That just goes back to, the body being sick afterwards, after these encounters, So as for why, I can't put positivity or positive, can't it's because of this, but at the end they usually feel sick, for whatever reason they feel sick. So,
well, I just think that goes back to people talking about the Bible and stuff like that. Back in the Bible days, there was a lot of power. There's a lot of sorcery. There was a lot of what would you call it? Magic that was used through. Back then, we don't know how it was. But in the Bible, you talk about when Moses was up in the mountain, he saw that burning bush and it was God. And then Satan tried to manipulate him up there. And as he talked with God, he saw the finger of God. He lost his energy for like 3 or 4 days. And then he didn't hunger, which means he probably got sick. And then I remember one gentleman saying, God has his powers and so does the darkness, the dark side of they have their powers and it does the same thing, and I believe that because my grandfather says that same thing. When you do a powerful ceremony, it takes the energy from you, or when you're doing a certain thing to cure somebody, it takes the energy from you. And probably the same thing, that same kind of energy, whether it's good or evil, it sucks the energy from you. Just like that Rocky Ridge incident with the UFOs, that little girl barely crawled back to her grandma's into her house because she had no energy left, But I believe my brother when he tells these stories, because he's always up early in the morning, just these things are happening and stuff, and he's driving a lot of times. He said the other 4 months back, he said in between Del Muerto and Álílee, he said he saw a Bigfoot cross his path, And I believe that, because other people have seen that up there, heard it screaming and stuff like that.
That's a good area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, they read the Bible, and, speaking of Moses too, he went over there to ask the Pharaoh, like let my people go, and let them do their ceremony purposes for 3 days or something like that, if I remember right. And he did all these, these miracles, all these works in front of everybody. And one thing that kind of made me kind of tilt my head is like, why was nobody shocked? Like, why was there? And then I started thinking about it more, and it's like probably because everybody was doing it. This wasn't an uncommon thing for people, to see. And even that, I was like, wow, dude, that's really, that's strange. Just to think about it like that. That the miracles that he did was nothing big. Everybody else was doing stuff like this, and and also
especially go ahead there. Sorry.
And also, speaking more about it, when he went up to get the first 10 Commandments,
snake battle.
He came down, and what they said was he was glowing. His skin and his body was glowing to the point where it actually scared everybody, and he had to wear a veil, and he had to wear, cover up his body because he was scaring everybody. So these presence, being in the presence of God, it does stuff to the body, the human body, for sure. So speaking more about that.
What's the whole thing about that whole incident, Moses, was the thing that sticks out to me that really stands out is the snake part where they battle the snake with the Pharaoh. Everyone's involved with sorcery, and then he used the snake to heal people. People walked up to the stick where the snake was and they got healed. Then it goes all the way back to this side of the world where certain tribes use snakes in ceremonies, and you have the Hopi that use the snake, and you got the Lakota that use the snake. And one of the stories that I read not long ago, but I may be forgetting the tribe name. So this one guy, I guess he was I think he lost his wife, his mom, his kids. I think it was during a raid or something. He lost them all, and he was sad. He was out in the plains, and he was crying. And then the snake came out, told him like, "Hey, we hear you're crying, we hear you're suffering, and let us tell us about it. We're here for you. Let us know all your pain and suffering. Our Father sent us to you, and we'll be here for you." So he started talking to snakes and speaking to snakes, and there's different healing purposes behind that. And I know for us Dene, we cannot handle snakes. We're not supposed to carry them. We're not supposed to do anything with them. They say if you do, you'll get arthritis. Your kids' spine will turn into scoliosis. It goes on, the repercussions for that. So just going back to the high strange part, the snakes. So I just thought I'd add that weird part of that Bible part. But one of the staying on the snakes and on the Hopi part, Benjamin, when you pass Hopi land, have you seen anything weird or strange on Hopi land?
Myself, I have not experienced anything on the Hopi land. I mean, I've done a lot of jobs there, and I, to this day, have not seen anything other than something that was probably real, but I'm not sure if that's right on the Hopi land or maybe Hopi Navajo land. It's where I've seen the biggest snakes I ever seen in my life. I mean, I was traveling with someone at the time too, so I know it was real. So you hear folklores about snakes, through the Hopi and them, that they big giant snakes there and they coil up. And I was going to work, and there's that road between Whippoorwill and First Mesa, that big long dirt road. I think it's got to be at least, I'd say 40 feet wide. that road because it's a 2-lane, and we came across a snake that was stretched from one end to the other. That's how big it was. And that's when that happened, I'm like, these stories must be true. There must be snakes this big around here because I've never seen anything that big before. I mean, I would understand if I was by myself. I'd be thinking, did I really see that? Was that? But I was with someone, and they saw it as well.
Mm.
So,
Oh yeah.
you know, it's wild, you know. The things that we think. That, go ahead.
Yeah. Speaking of these snakes, we also had one guest that came on, and he talked about a medicine man turning a wooden snake into a real snake, you know, and it slithered into a hole. So you know that's a weird incident, weird occurrence, but you know it happens, and you know it's strange. It's one strange world that we live in. You know, I can't believe what all the just the weirdness. Yeah, just the weirdness and everything. But you know, for the last bit of the show, tell us what incidents have you both been a part of, you know, that you guys were both together when you guys had an occurrence?
Anthony, remember the old house mom and dad used to live in, and us right there on 2-story? Yeah, that was a big event. Remember the cops showed up. What happened was we used to live in their 2-story housing, NHA housing, and it was a 2-story apartment. There was, I think, 4 or 5 apartments in that building there. And we used to live in there, and my sister, I had one room, and my younger sister, Vanjie, had the next room to me. And I think Hanson was across the way next to my mom and dad's room. But for some reason, in my sister's room, she had a Kachina doll that she would always put on her shelf. It was about maybe 9-10 inches tall. But she didn't tell us until later. Every time she would put it up there, the next morning it would be on the floor. So she wasn't taking it down. Something was taking it down. But she would do that. But during that same time as well, I would always lock my door. But at night, somewhere early in the morning, my doorknob would be, someone was messing with my doorknob. And I would also always ask my mom, or I goes, hey, did you guys get up this morning? Were you trying to get into my room? Because I goes, no. So that went on for a long time. And then just small stuff like that. And then one time my dad was cooking in the house. He was making, I think he said chicharrones, and he forgot about it. And the kitchen caught on fire. I mean, he put it out, but it did enough smoke damage in the house where we had to move out. And from there, I don't know if you remember that, Hanson.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you take a little bit from here. Go from there.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of it's Riverside Sunset Housing. I'm not going to be hiding that. It's here in Chinle. Sunset Housing 238. It's a duplex, and we lived in the second one. It was a 2-story, 4-bedroom. There are people living next to us that we knew very well. Like he said, there was strange things that were happening. Like my sister had that weird, I don't know why she had a Kachina doll at that time, but she would put it on a shelf and then it would be in a different place each time. But she also had dreams that an old lady with ragged clothes, like a Anasazi clothes, she was coming out of the closet in her dream every time, coming to grab her, and she would wake up and freak out. And then that Kachina doll would be in a different spot. And then my brother's room, he was right next. He was experiencing his doors being open. And then me and my little brother, we shared a room, and we had stacks of soda cans, the aluminum cans. You know, my little brother wanted to stack them, see how high they were, and nobody ever bothered him because he had them in a certain way. And I remember he said he had a dream where an old lady came in and yelled at him and then hit those cans. And he said when he had that dream, all the cans in real time, they all crashed to the ground. And then he never put them back up. He just said it freaked out. He freaked out on it and put it away. And then after that, yeah, that fire, the fire that happened. But even before then, we had 2 black cats, 2 twin cats that we had. My dad, those were his cats. And me and my dad, we used to sleep in the living room. I used to sleep on the lazy boy, and my dad would sleep on the couch, and we'd be crashed out. And I remember one time it was just me and him, and there was stuff going on upstairs. You could hear, things running around and things being dropped and stuff like that. And then my dad says, "Go up there." And Navajo, he said, "Those 2 cats are messing around again." I said, "No, they're laying right there by your foot." And he just looked at he goes, "Go check." He goes, "What? Somebody's in here." And, just me running up and looked all over the place. And I told my dad, "Then there's nobody up here." And he goes, "Oh, did you hear?" I said, "Yeah, I heard it." And then we came back down, and I just laid back down. And then there's a little storage space under the stairs in that building. There's a little door. And while we were laying there, we turned the lights off and the TV. We were going to bed. And all of a sudden, you could hear something running around inside the storage thing right after it happened up there. And my dad says, "Ish konat naga." And he turned the light on, opened it, and he had a lot of his own stuff in there. And we looked in there, and there was nothing. There was something running around in there. And so just close it. And after that, he just told the cats, Navajo, "Don't know, and you guys are just laying here. Go look around. You guys are supposed to, So he chased them out, and then I can't remember where I was, but I just, I can't remember where I was, but I think I was at my Nollies in Shiprock when I heard that the house burned and that we had to move, and so we moved out. And then that place was dormant for a long time. And my brother at that time, my brother had moved. Ben and his family, they got their own apartment close, adjacent, across the street. And then we still knew all the people right there, and we were hanging out at my brother's house. And I remember one time there was a good friend of mine called Chris Begay. I haven't seen him in forever. But we were sitting at this fire hydrant in the middle of that whole complex. And it was close to Halloween, but not close. It was the beginning of October. And we were chilling there. It was at night, and everybody always sat there. So me and Chris were sitting there at one time. It was just me and him. And we were talking about something. And then we looked towards the house, 238. And I can remember, Ben, that under the sidewalk, it was always dug open. We always blame one of our dogs. And we always beat them because, sorry to say that, but we're like, I spawn a night. We quit doing that. We'd cover it up. And I remember that night we were sitting there and we were talking. And then we saw something small, probably say not 3 feet, maybe smaller, but it was walking, or maybe about 3 feet tall. And it was walking on the pavement, and it was walking right in front of our house, 238, our apartment. And then my bro Chris says, "What the heck is that?" And as we were looking at it, it was all black, and it was hunched over, and it was walking. And then I just remember my bro Chris saying, "Hey," and then it stopped. It literally stopped right in front of our apartment. And we're looking at it, and we're like, "What the heck is that?" So I grabbed a rock. I grabbed a flat rock, and I said, "Watch this, man. I'm going to hit it." So that time I had an arm, so I threw it, and it landed, almost hit it. But the weird thing is that thing took off like it was a witch. It just took off from the ground, and it just took off on an angle like that. And it didn't flap. There was no flapping. It just took off, and it was black, and it went up. And me and Chris looked like, "What the hell was that?" It just took off, and it went on top of the roof, on top of the apartment. And then we're looking at it, and it went on the other side of the apartment. We're like, "What the heck is that?" And from there, that's when the fire happened. Not too long after that, and then that's when our I can't remember. I don't know if I talked about this, about the 238 being a haunted house, and how we had the whole complex at that time, when after it was dormant, these people started experiencing hauntings in their apartment about an old lady running around. And then that old lady was on top of where that little being went. And when we went from my brother's apartment over there, they had the police, all Navajo police were surrounded that whole that duplex.
Well, what started before that, Hanson? Remember what started before that is I think you guys were playing outside in that area, because one of Junior's buddies was living there still too, and they got a hold of us and said, hey, there's somebody up on top of the roof throwing rocks at us. So remember, we went over there. We went over there, and sure enough, we get there and something's throwing rocks, not big giant rocks, but good pebble size. What the hell? So we run around to the other side of the house, but there's nothing. But whatever was up there was throwing rocks at us from behind on that side of the house. So we had people on both sides, and that was still going on. So we're freaking out. So we kind of got scared, and we called the cops. And then one officer pulled up. He goes, what's going on? We heard reports of disturbance and stuff like that. He goes, yeah, something's throwing that rocks at us. He goes, where? And he had his unit parked in front of the door, kind of at an angle. And just not even, I don't know, it wasn't minutes after he showed up. Next, the rock hit his panel. So he freaked out right there. Like, what the hell? So he shined his light up there. There was nothing. And so we went with him around the house. Same thing. Something was still throwing rocks, but there was nothing on top of the house. But it kept throwing rocks. So he goes, who lives here? He goes, nobody. He goes, we used to live here, but the house burned inside, so nobody lives in there. And in between that time, the doors have been busted in, people have probably gone in and out, but nobody was in the house. So, and the officer goes, has anyone been in there? I go, no, we were too scared. So I don't know if I think you went with us with the officer. We went in. Yeah,
we walked. There was about 8 or 9 of us. We went in there, but before then, all those rocks are being thrown from the top of the house, and the vehicles around the vehicles had mattresses covering and blankets covering their windows on their vehicles, because all the people that were living there, the rocks were hitting their windows and cracking it. And I remember one of the officers, Elfrida Wagner, she goes, who's throwing these rocks? And as she was talking, one of the rocks hit the spotlight. It hit where she was using the spotlight off the unit. It hit her so hard, she freaked out, and I think it cracked it too. And that's when there was a boy that was a medicine man that lived, was the younger brother to one of the tenants there. And some little kid or somebody noticed, they said, look, there's a lady in that room. And the people that lived next to it, there was that old lady was standing in that window. And then that's when that medicine man, that boy, right there, and right there. And that lady pointed at that medicine man. That's when he fell over. He grabbed his hand like it was paralyzed, and he fell over. And he said, that whatever that is, it's not human. And, and that's when the cop, what was his name? Last name's Curly. But he went in with all of us, and as we were going up the stairs, all the rooms shut. And
then that doorknob came out of my sister's room, and it was hit real hard against where Dustin Hanson and Rudy used to stay. And man, you never seen a cop run so fast down the stairs. I mean,
So a doorknob flew across the room or something?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, got the chills.
And I remember it wasn't just Navajos. There was, at that time, they had the carnival in town, and somebody got to hang out with one of the carny rats, we call him. And there was a Belagana guy he was hanging out. He was with us. And we went into the room where it had the attic, the crawl space. And that crawl space was open in that closet in me and my brother's room. And that's when somebody said, look, that's open. And we said, who's gonna go up there? We all didn't want to go up there. We did not want to go up there. So that the Lagana guy goes, shoot, man, I'll go up there. And we pushed him up there, and as he was going up, I specifically remember he said, there's a basket up here full of rocks. I don't know what kind of basket. He just said, hey guys, there's a basket right here full of rocks. And as he looked down he was going to show us, remember when he did that, he said a bunch of rocks flew past his face and it almost hit him. And that he jumped down, boom, 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 out the door. We never saw him again. And that's when we all came running back down. We got in the living room area. We were just sitting there. They're like, what are we going to do next? And then out of the kitchen came a whole bunch of rocks. Out of the kitchen, a whole bunch of rocks hit the wood stove. And that's when we all ran out the door. We all got back out on the sidewalk. And the weird thing that happened is the door shut. And I can't remember if the lights came on or not, but the windows, they all fogged up. All the windows on top and on the bottom, they all fogged up. And that was pretty much the end of it. The cops just, Mr. Curley just said, we're going to write this down as that this apartment and this complex, right? This duplex is haunted. There's something here. So, yeah. But that's a true story.
Cop report right there. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Because there was like 4 panels that were there, 2 in the back, 2 in the front, because they were trying to look for whoever was throwing the rocks. So that's still there. It's house 238. You know,
I drove. I think I might have seen that the duplex, like a building of duplexes of houses. I think I might have seen that. Ooh, see if I can get into those houses now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But man, that sounds like a good movie right there, like a horror, children's horror movie. Wow,
it was.
Man, that's one hell of a story right there.
Yeah, I mean, you've never seen a cop so scared in your life, man. I mean, this guy had a gun, everything, and he just almost bowled us over getting out of the door. Yeah, it scared the shit out of him, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, kudos to you guys, man, because I would have been flying if I seen the doorknob flying. Like, nope, I don't want anything hitting my shit. I would be out of there like, no.
So,
but the weird thing is we're into that stuff. You know, me and my brother and all our siblings. Even one of my nieces, she loves the paranormal stuff. And when she first heard about my school being haunted, the things I experienced, I don't know if she still has them, but she has apparitions and voices mumbling from our school that she recorded. So, but yeah, she's recorded a lot of those things. But yeah, that right there, house 238, can't miss it, man.
Yeah, so Don and Chris, this is just the top of we've had so many experiences. This is just barely getting into it. Real, actual experience, not just alone, but with other people who witnessed it, who, you know, had the same feeling, who, you know, some have gotten sick, and we could keep going where all of us got sick. Me, Hanson, my sons, all of us got sick at one time because something happened to us. We all got sick. I'll admit that. That was just 2 years ago. And I mean, we got paranormal we could be talking about all day. From back in the day we could be talking about, but that's going to take another 2-3 hours, man. We got a lot, man.
We'll book you. We'll book you this year. We got you guys both on here. October is wide open here. Let's see here. I got no one in October, that's for sure. Well, I got you here. Don't mind me. That's one hell of a story to close out the show, my brothers. Okay, so we got
Yeah.
all of October open, all the Sundays. What Sundays you guys would like the most?
Me would be the first 2 weeks of October because the last part of October I'll be real busy. My daughter's having a Yebiche ceremony, so we'll be real busy the end of October.
Okay. All right, we'll do October 4th then. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Sounds good.
No, just for the last recap, what do you guys think this entity was? Why? What do you guys? Do you think it has something to do with the Kachina, or where do you guys think this old lady is coming from?
I think
what we heard.
just like see, every job that I get on that's on the res, it has to be dug up, prayer said, a ceremony done before the construction starts. But some areas they don't do that. Sometimes they don't do that. All the ones I've been on the res have done that. When they build these homes, maybe they didn't get that done. Maybe they just said, oh, "Okay, we'll just say it was done." But I bet you there's something like Hanson said below. There's probably old burials, and that's this person say, "Hey, what are you doing on my? I'm buried here. Have some respect." That's kind of what I think.
That's exactly what my late dad, they did have a prayer on that complex area before they could renovate it and everything, and they said it was a lady digging right there, not the dog. It was a lady, and they said it was an Anasazi lady that was what the medicine man said is that lady was banished from the canyon, from her tribe, and was banished to this desert area out in the open, and she died there. But the reason why she was banished from there is because she was eating kids.
Oh, wow!
Yeah.
Whoa. Cherry on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that just whole different chill factor right there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. I would like, Darren, we got to go check out that school, check out that apartment.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, man, this might be a good area to walk around.
For
and
me getting scared.
Yeah, this housing too. Do people live in the housing still, or
Yeah,
they do? Oh, I had to knock on a door and ask people, "Hey, what kind of weirdness goes on here?" But,
Jehovah's Witness. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Jehovah's Witness.
But,
Damn.
But we're running.
They might just accuse the Smith family of being crazy.
No, you guys are already family to us. They say that same thing to the Yazzie family too. So we got Darren and I here. So we're all good here. You guys were running low on time here. We got a few more minutes. You guys want to say laters and any shout outs to anybody before we wrap up the show today?
Well, I just wanted to shout out to everybody. You guys have seen it. I've seen it. Of all this AI fake crap's going on. I mean, a lot of these people post it. They wouldn't be posting stuff like that. I know if they've experienced what me and Hanson have experienced out in the real world, out in the wild. No, when something like out in the wild happens to you, it scares the shit out of you. And I've never had any intentions of posting anything fake ever, because I've experienced it. Hanson has. It scared the shit out of us. So I see all this stuff and I'll know right away. Nah, none of it's just a lot of it's just made up now. It's crazy that there's so much out there now.
Yeah. I mean, just like me and my brother, we were coming back in his truck with our mother, coming back from Saley to Chinle. We had that big UFO orb following us at high speed through the trees, and that scared the shit out of us. That was scary. That was an experience that when that movie The Fourth Kind came out, I got chills. Because I was like, all those experiences in that movie were based on real things. And as I was watching, I haven't watched that movie again because it's not a scary movie, but it brings back all the scary stuff that I experienced and what my brother experienced. And for the life of me, I would not want to experience. To be real, I would not want to experience being visited by the Greys, those UFOs, those alien, the Greys, because they just sound so evil. And I heard they never leave you once they get to know you, and I would never want that ever. But I know they're here. I know people have been visited by them because, you know, that's just what they are. And but yeah, you know, all these things that I know people say, that's not true. You guys, no, everything that we talk about, we've experienced it, from the Bigfoot experiences, from all the orbs and all the paranormal stuff. We've experienced it. You know, we have a late great grandfather, you know, he was a medicine man. He chased those types of things away. He showed us his power. You know, even my grandmother, that one time I said that during the Squanets when I was a little boy, I was hot, and there was no clouds but one little tiny rain cloud. Little tiny, not even a rain cloud. But I saw my grandma point at it and talk to it and say, "Hiko." And it came over and it rained for a good 15 minutes and cooled us off. Tiniest cloud, and then it dissipated. That's all I needed that day. She moved the clouds.
Wow.
You know, the power of these old people. Their medicines are very powerful. Just like in the Bible, you know, you read all those powers, all those their superpowers, I would call them. You know, it's less and less these days because the belief is not there anymore. But yeah, you know, it's just these experiences are very real. You know, people can say, "Nah, it's not real." It is real. We've experienced every one of them. And there was about yesterday. You know, the only times when you guys talk about it, I don't do my own podcast, or I don't, you know, try to look for, you know, it's because it's very personal to me, and there's some things that are very personal and probably won't ever talk about, but that happened to me personally, that if I ever talk about it, it scares the shit out of me. So, but yeah. But hey, you know, appreciate it for letting us come on and talk about stuff. So, yep.
One thing I want to bring up.
Yeah.
I would like to schedule this year sometime. Me, Hanson, maybe one of my sons, if they're up to it, to go to that place from 2 years ago, Hanson, where whatever that white big gray thing was that not attacked us, but where those witches were. I want to visit that area. Even though I'm told do not go there, do not go. It's in the back of my mind. I want to know what was back there. What did they do back there? What is doing back there? What are they doing back there? It's because that scared us, all of us, but something like that is totally different of what we've gone through. Human beings, to me, some human beings, lady witches, summoned up whatever this evil thing was. Because I seen it, and I just want to know what's back there that they, you know.
Well,
yeah, well, definitely. I'll reach out to you, Benjamin, on that one. I'll definitely would like to go with you guys. Darren, you want to say later? We gotta close out the show so I can make some short for this, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. All right, appreciate it, you guys.
Yeah, that's some very chilling stories. Very.
Yep. All right. Hey, I'm gonna close out the show right now, guys, so we can make some shorts. Sorry, guys, but thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning into Don't Whistle at Night. We have been broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I'm your host, Don Yazzie, Darren Yazzie, Benjamin Smith Sr., Hanson Smith. See you guys. Don't whistle at night. Be safe. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.